Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, sampler review series videos I've been doing for a little while now. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks, I'm going to talk about the stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff that time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie. I review lots of stuff from this place, but very rarely their namesake items. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's a super simple format. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm going to yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck, and whilst I'm doing all that, folks, well, I'm wearing grody work clothes. Typically, when I'm inside the truck and I'm wearing grody work clothes, that means that I was on my way home from work and I found some shit to review for you. That's definitely the case today. I got off work about an hour ago now, and I went over there, was just passing by, and, places I like to hit up and stuff, and I knew I didn't really want to, do a lot in the way of supply shopping and everything, because, I got to do that tomorrow, I know for certain, but I was like, maybe I'll just grab something to nibble on, so I decided to pull into Dunkin' Donuts, and like I said, I've reviewed plenty of things from Dunkin'. I, in fact, have a Dunkin' playlist for just reviews of Dunkin' Donuts stuff, because that's how often I hit up these places. Usually it's like a food item, or maybe one of their coffees or whatever, but it's so rarely one of their actual donuts. But they happen to have a new one. So, what are we doing here, folks? What am I reviewing for you today? Boom! Boom! It is obviously from Dunkin', and it is... Boom! It's a s'mores donut. That sounds amazing, right? I think so. Obviously, this will end up on the playlist that I just talked about. Like I said, I think the entire time I've been doing this show, I could count on one hand how many actual donuts I've reviewed. Like I said, usually I go for their other stuff, but s'mores donut seems like a really good thing. Even if it's a little bit weird that it came out in, I believe, July. But I don't know, I always think of s'mores more as being like a fall kind of deal, but anyway, let's get a thing for the thing. It looks like this. Let's give it a go. Nice creamy center, as one would expect, but it's like that very white cream that they use for some of their donuts. It's not like a Boston cream, which for me, this is fine, and I get that they're going along the lines of the s'mores aspect, but I do prefer Boston cream. Boston cream is, so good. Yeah, so this is that, I don't know, I like the Boston cream, I just feel like there's more to it, there's a little bit more depth to the flavor. This cream isn't bad. It almost reminds me of just, cake frosting, though. It doesn't, it's just sweet. But, it's not a bad thing at all. It works well enough with the other elements, again, they're trying to recreate that s'mores aspect, so you got the cream, trying to emulate the marshmallow, then you got, obviously, chocolate's the chocolate, then you got, the little graham cracker stuff on top. I like the donut. I don't think it does a great job of replicating the s'mores taste. And mind you, s'mores is one of those things where lots of things try to replicate it, and very few things actually do. But some get closer than others. Kind of at a glance, this seems like this would work pretty well, but it doesn't. At least not in my opinion. For one thing, the cream on the inside is just not a strong equivalent for the marshmallow. For one thing, s'mores, part of the point is, you got the nice meltiness, a little toasty aspect to it. Obviously, that's not going to be there, but even beyond that, I mean, I don't know what the hell this stuff is made out of, so, you know, but, like, I kind of wish that they would have used, and maybe they did, to be fair, I wish they would have used, like, maybe, like, a marshmallow kind of fluff or something like that, you know? I don't know how viable that would have been as an option, but, like, something that actually tasted a little bit closer to, you know, like, the actual marshmallow kind of flavor, instead of, again, more of just kind of, well, you know what? There might actually be a little bit of a marshmallow aspect to that. I'm going to withdraw that complaint, because I think that they did, at least to some extent, just maybe not to the extent that I would like. Because kind of isolating it kind of brings it out a little bit, but it's still kind of a little bit, to me, it's more reminiscent of, again, like almost like a cake frosting instead of like a proper marshmallow kind of aspect. And honestly, the biggest flavor that you get from the whole experience is just that donut flavor of the Dunkin' Donut, which, depending on, you know, who you are and such, can be a good thing or a bad thing. Typically, I like Dunkin' Donuts as donuts. They're not great donuts, you know, they're not like the highest quality donuts you're going to get, but I've always found them to be, you know, pretty good for what they are. They're not terrible donuts. They're a little bit middle of the road, but they're a nice standard. But yeah, it has that, you know, sort of cake donut sort of flavor to it. The chocolate aspect, the biggest non-element is the graham cracker. I think it's just, it really, with the exception of adding a slight texture difference, it really does not play into things. It's just one of those things, like, in theory, the flavors are all there, but a lot of what makes a s'more work as well as it does is having a proper balance. And, of course, that's going to vary from person to person to some extent, but the general building blocks of it are pretty much the same for everybody. And when you get it just so, that's what really makes the beauty of it, because it becomes, like, kind of this one perfect flavor. With this, I just don't feel like it really even comes close. I don't feel like there's a great balance. It just tastes kind of sweet with a little bit of a chocolatey aspect, and the graham cracker is really just not there. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad donut at all. Like, I'm, you know, going to enjoy the rest of it, but I don't think it tastes much like s'mores. Two questions have to be asked, though. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Maybe on occasion and kinda. You know, I mean, it's a limited time donut kind of thing, which I almost wonder why. Because that actually seems like a donut you could probably have on the menu year round and it would sell. But who the fuck, you know, am I? I don't know shit about donut business, so. But in terms of, like, just as a donut, it's fine. It's not the best Dunkin' donut I've ever had. Quite frankly, Boston cream pie donut from them is basically the best fucking donut that I've ever had from them. That's always my go-to. You know, but again, there's some decent stuff there for what they, you know, have to offer. And this is perfectly fine. I like a cream-filled donut. You know, the flavors are okay for what they are. Again, it's got that Dunkin' Donut taste. I don't know that I would get it all that often, just because, again, I don't think it really tastes much like s'mores, but on occasion I could see grabbing it. If I'm recommending it, you know, it is a limited time donut, so it's one of those, like, you might as well while it's around. You might take more s'mores-ness away from it than I personally did, and if you do, good on you. I just, you know, so it's one of those things where it's like, worst case scenario, it's still a pretty tasty donut. It's not an amazing donut. I think even if it did taste more like s'mores, it wouldn't be amazing. But, you know, it's still an okay donut. It's going to do what donuts do. If it sounds like something you'd be interested in, go ahead and give it a shot. Just kind of realize that, you know, they're obviously only going to be able to recreate that flavor to a pretty minimal extent. 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of the week, monumental rest of the month, stupendous rest of the year. Folks, go over there and have yourselves a truly s'mores-tastic rest of your life. But like a proper s'mores-tastic, Not this bullshit, like the actual real deal s'mores. Because, man, how often as an adult do you get to enjoy, like, a real s'mores, right? Like, you know, unless, like, you do maybe a lot of camping with, like, your kids or something. Because even if you're, like, an outdoors person, I can't imagine you're carting around a bunch of marshmallows and shit. Getting older, man, getting older. Final two things. Number one, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do it all the time, I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives. Hopefully, do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, do you have any favorite s'more memories or experiences? I know for myself personally, you know, I haven't had a lot of them in my life. You know, like I would do some camping and stuff, like with my dad when I was younger. But, you know, that was more sort of outdoorsy stuff. We didn't really do, like, s'mores and stuff. You know, we'd fish and shit like that. You know, that was kind of the deal. You know, but, like, you know, I did, like, a Boy Scout thing one time with a couple of my friends who were in the Scouts. And they invited me. We had some s'mores. We also ran out of shit to drink before, like, halfway through the night. And, like, none of the adults just, like, went down the road to, like, the 7-Eleven or something. They just ran out of fucking shit for us to fucking consume, and then it was like, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, if you have any, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Like, you know, s'mores are a fun item, I think.